Hello and welcome to Deep Blue Sea, the podcast. I am Mark. Lay down your weapons. Prepare to die. Hoffmeyer.
And I am Jay. Sorry, left my slow-mo on there. I'm Jay, half face and humbaba fluid. We're giving you aboard Deep Blue Sea, the podcast. On this show, we've been through the entire Deep Blue Sea trilogy, seen by scene. Now looking at some Deep Blue Sea adjacent films. That is films featuring sharks or aquatic action. Or, as this is the start of December, we're celebrating Happy Harlin Days. It's a Renny Harlin film. Harlin Days are back again. It's The Legend of Hercules. What is The Legend of Hercules? Well, it's a 2014 Hercules film that does not star Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. It's the other one. It's the one that stars Kellan Lutz, which tells basically Hercules' origin story. One of them, with fighting with a king and a brother and
Brother.
So yes, slave fun times and that kind of thing. So, Hercules, Legend of Hercules. This is a film, Mark, you have seen many times. I've seen for the first time for this, but let's get into it now. Scott Adkins, yes,
Yes, he's the reason to watch this.
sure.
He just yells a lot. You know, I wrote down Scott Adkins because he uses an axe.
He does
in this one, and listen, this movie is okay.
It's a lot. It's a lot of movie.
I did some research, and because I've really wanted to understand this movie, and I wanted to know why The Legend of Hercules exists.
Sure.
And so let's go back a year prior to when White House Down and Angel has White House Down and Angel has fallen. Olympus has fallen. There's three
Angel
of those
is
things,
the
and
third
they've
one,
made
or-
over 500 million worldwide.
I have
So
seen
you have
the
Angel.
first one.
So you have Olympus has fallen, which they rushed into production, got made to release before White House Down, and it did money. It made a lot of money. It's a brutal, violent 80s era action film. And so Millennium, the people at Millennium were like, "Hey, let's do that again, but for Hercules." So there's an interview with Renny Harlin, and they're interviewing him in February 2013. And he goes, "Yeah, we're going to be shooting The Legend of Hercules in Sofia, Bulgaria, where Millennium owns studios. They own a studio space there with a lot of green screen. So they're like, we're going to be shooting there. We're going to start shooting in May." So he's like, okay, for a spring release. So they start shooting. They shoot from May 10th, 2013 to July 15th, 2013. Kellan Lutz had 2 weeks to prepare for this movie.
He already looked like that. That's just his walking around physique.
All right, so he had 2 weeks to prepare. This movie shot in about 2 months. Now, Renny Harlin in his interviews, he's like, yeah, like we're gonna release this movie in the spring. No, this movie comes out in January 2014. So this movie didn't start shooting until May 2013. It wrapped on July 15th, 2013. Its first trailer came out in October 2013, and then it was in theaters in January 14th. So this movie also reportedly has a $70 million budget, but this is the same studio that Gerard Butler successfully sued for back money on Olympus Has Fallen.
Like I say, Gerard Butler sued it because they stole his entire look for the king. For
Scott Adkins.
It looks like him in 300.
So he was supposed to get it back end. So in interviews with Millennium, they're like, we can't pay people much. So we just offer them back end, and then they can make money on the back end. And we already get all the distribution rights, like worldwide distribution, because they own the studio space in Bulgaria where they shoot. They sell the pre-sales. They make all their money back. But Gerard Butler sued them, and he got $10 million because he said all the producers take exorbitant amounts of money from the budget. And so I wasn't able to fully track this down, but I found that Renny Harlin said that this movie wasn't a $70 million movie. He said, I had like a $20 million budget, which makes so much sense for this movie. Shot in 2 months, Sofia, in Bulgaria, beautiful studio space. You can do a whole tour when you're looking behind the scenes, like tons of green screen space. There's like 14 stages. But yeah, they shot it in 2 months and then released it just to steal some of Hercules' thunder. So it's it just makes me laugh, Jay, because he had worked with them before. He did Cleaner with them, and so he was back with the Millennium folks. He hadn't had a big hit in a while, but I guarantee you, Jay, they're like, listen, we need a dude that just can come in here and shoot a Hercules movies in 2 months and make it look reasonably good. Like
I
just
just, what do you reckon is like the most pleasant filming experience Rennie's had? Every film seems to be troubled. This one had a plague of frogs and a plague of fleas at
yep.
various times during the production. I know making films is difficult, but things never go well for him.
Okay, I think Deep Blue Sea was probably the easiest one because he didn't have the giant budgets of Cutthroat Island, and then like Long Kiss Goodnight. This one he had. Remember in Deep Blue Sea they had a lot of studio there with him, so
Yeah.
there's water issues, but it finished on time and on budget, so there wasn't too many issues for him on that movie. And the Sharks by Walt Conti worked fine, but I think like Nightmare on Elm Street 4, he was young and dumb, so he's like, yeah, I'll kill myself. I'll work 200 hours a week. Like I'm fine. Like and this one though, Jay, 2 months. It started shooting in May and was released in January. So when you watch the opening scene and the VFX looks like I don't know, something a computer in the 80s did. Like this movie had no time. We got no time. No time.
This did feel like when I first watched something, I was thinking, oh, this is like a reaction to 300. Like 300 came out, and then the next year this came out. No, this came out 8 years after 300. Like 300 is 2006. This is 2014. So this is the same year as the 300 sequel. Because it just kind of felt like an early 2000s film on a budget, and I hadn't factored in like how old Kellan Lutz was at various points, because I've seen the first Twilight film, but it doesn't stick in my head that much. He's not an actor I'm that familiar with.
This was just a rush, Jay. This was
Yeah.
like this wasn't. So they're like they weren't even trying to get on 300. They're like, we're just hey, it worked with Olympus Has Fallen, so let's go do this with Hercules.
It just feels very Zack Snyder with all the slow mo, the kind of desaturated scenes. There's like a funeral scene which is basically in black and white. It just feels very like there's a lot of Zack Snyder tropes going on.
And I hate quoting other reviews, but I found a really great article about this movie, and they talked about how this is probably one of Renny Harlin's first movie that's just outright derivative. Like there's no you don't really see anything new in this movie. I feel like every Renny Harlin movie you watch, you at least walk out of it and go, whoa, like I've never seen that before. Yeah. He finds things to make his movies interesting. But this one, you're right, it's The Immortals meets 300 meets Gladiator meets Spartacus.
It's a Hercules film of which there are 1,000.
Yeah,
like there.
Yeah.
I found a list of Hercules films, and there's like 200 from Italy. Like just there's so many. I've only seen two. I've seen this one and the Disney one. So I've never seen the Dwayne Johnson one. I've never seen like the Schwarzenegger one, Hercules in New York. All of my Hercules knowledge comes from school 20 odd years ago, and the Disney film. So when I was watching this, I was like, oh, when are Pain and Panic going to show up? When is like the little Danny DeVito goat guy gonna be? No, okay, different. There's so many aspects of the Hercules story to tell. So the fact this does the origin story, which I was like fascinated. I really enjoyed this film. It looks like awful at times, but Scott Adkins is great. The action's great. There's so much in this film. Like to hear that it was rushed, but they still did the 20 action set pieces like that are rammed into here is so impressive.
That's why you hire Renny.
Yeah.
Like, listen, you have 2 months. Renny Harlin, you have 2 months, and there will be fleas and frog infestations. But
and you got to do it in 3D as well.
Yeah, in 3D. And you know what though? Like I really like Liam McIntyre in this movie. Like he's the guy from Spartacus who filled when the original Spartacus. I forget his name, but when he passed away, Liam McIntyre filled in for him. Yeah. You know, the guy Liam Garrigan. He just scowls like a jerk the whole time. There's ghost sex. There's
okay, stop that. I was thinking
God sex.
It's rare. Like this is a rare Renny Harlin sex scene. I was thinking
Yeah.
throughout his films, I couldn't think of another one that had like a lovemaking scene in it.
Wow.
There's still a few that I haven't seen, which we're still getting. Like, haven't seen cleaner yet, but I couldn't think of one that had. Like, I'm thinking like there must have been one in Ford Fairlane. How could there not have been? But I can't remember one in Ford Fairlane. Die Hard 2. They're separated ones on a plane within the airport, so that's not going to happen. There's not one in Cliffhanger. They throw the woman off a mountain. Like, Cutthroat Island. I can't think of one with a sex scene, and that's just odd.
I love that Scott Adkins. It's kind of cool. Scott Adkins is supposedly an evil guy, but he handles it pretty well. Like, he knows it's not his kid, and he's like, "Listen, I don't want this kid. Won't be as good as like I won't like this kid as much as my kid." And I know that's seems evil, but for a ruler in 1200 BC to be like, "Listen, I'm gonna prefer my child that was spawned and not the spawn of something else instead." Like it's I don't know.
So he's the most interesting character.
Yeah, Adkins.
Yeah, okay, so the film starts with this like CGI drone shot across all of this action, which again, that's an entire film in itself. The film starts underwater. Love it.
Yes, it does.
It's the only time it's underwater, but it doesn't matter. And like we see him, he's ransacking Argos, which is the name of a shop chain in the UK. So that's always entertaining. Like, oh, he's taking down Walmart. Let's go. And he's like an honorable fighter, like the king of Argos. He's like, I'll face you one-on-one. Let's save the lives of all these soldiers. Not another soldier will die. Face you one-on-one. And then when the guy drops his sword, he like kicks the sword back at him. He throws his own sword away and beats the guy barehanded. Like, this is like an honorable. This is our hero. My notes say like, he's proving he's a good king. Like, he's a good leader. And the next thing we find out, he's a tyrant. He's like, he's out for gold. He's the bad guy.
Yeah. Just immediately.
But then, like as you say, he walks in on he's bringing in some wench to have his way with, and sees his wife apparently having sex with a ghost or a god, or more believable answer, she's just kind of having some alone time. Is what we would maybe construe it as today. But back then, he's like, "Oh, there's some invisible man here. He's having his way with my wife," and
and then he kills the lady, the wench, for lack of a better term. And we haven't even gotten to Jonathon Schaech's cornrows.
we might never have gotten to them. I wasn't going to bring them up.
I mean, like Scott Adkins, right? First, never challenge him one-on-one. Second, he would defeat Hercules. Like, if Hercules was real, Scott Adkins could defeat him.
Sure. Okay.
So, but this movie, though, it's 90 minutes. It looks like it was filmed in mud, but there's some really cool shots. Like, I like how they end up in Egypt, and they go into a cave system, then they go out the other side, then they're attacked, and then they're slaves, but then they're fighting in the mud, and then I don't know why
gladiator fights.
I don't know why Lucius gives up his best dudes, like Humbaba, and Half-Face
and Humbaba.
Like, why you have 4 really great soldiers, and then you pit them 2-on-2, and 2 of them die? Like, that's not that's not good strategy.
Because you're going to lose whatever happens. You're going to lose all 4 of your best fighters. Get 2 of them fighting the other 2, and whoever wins, as in survives, goes on to fight the 6 best fighters in all of the world, who will either kill them or they'll earn their freedom. So this is, unless he's gonna earn some astronomical amount of money from the wagering at these events, this is just ridiculous business sense. Because he's so heartbroken when Half-Face and Humbaba are killed. Like the look on his face is oh no. My men, my money makers. This is a bad decision, and now I've promised to take. Oh no, what have I done?
But that's 2 months, Jay. 2 months to do all this.
Yeah, like, it's impressive. I mean, it helps that every scene looks the same. Like,
every scene looks the same.
It's all the same color.
And listen, everything I've heard about Kellan Lutz, he seems like a cool guy, but they really had to work around him in this movie. Like, you have Liam McIntyre's character, what's Tyrius. He's not really even necessary in this movie. but I think they had him added to this just to help Kellan Lutz
You
carry
gotta
Kellan
have
Lutz a little bit.
you gotta have a buddy. You gotta have somebody
Yeah,
to
there's like a
talk your
Jaimin
bounce off
Hunsu
of.
and Gladiator, right, and like stuff like
Yeah,
that.
sure. It's a buddy cop thing. Like I mean, Kellan Lutz, I think he does fine.
Yeah,
He's got like a Braveheart-esque speech that's not great. But I think his main problem is he has an evil face. And I couldn't get past his evil face. This is not his problem. This is not his fault. It's just he has the face of somebody who shouldn't be the hero in a film. Like he is a villain. He's a henchman. He's a heavy.
it was like me watching Walton Goggins in The Unicorn, where he's a single dad.
Right. Exactly. And like some people have made great careers out of this. Michael Keaton has an evil face. Dennis Quaid has an evil face. Like Dennis Quaid looks like the Green Goblin. Willem Dafoe, evil face. These people have done phenomenal work with evil face characters. Like when Willem Dafoe's in Aquaman, you spend the whole film waiting for him to turn and be the bad guy. It never happens. That's miscast. It's Willem Dafoe. He's the evil. But like
Yeah, Florida Project. I was fully expecting him to be the villain the whole time.
Exactly. It's just it comes with the face. And Kellan Lutz, he has that evil face. What he's done, like his eyebrows in this, don't help him. The tightly cropped hair doesn't help. I think they were banding around having long flowing blonde hair for this, but which would have looked like John Cena on SNL. He did a sketch with like long blonde flowing hair that it would look like that. Actually, speaking of Cena, like we've told before, when big muscular guys run in films, it looks terrible. Kellan Lutz gets past that. He looks fine running in this.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, like, if this had been John Cena, this film would have been terrible.
Oh gosh. Yeah. So yeah, you know what's interesting? There's never a scene with Kellan Lutz in this movie where I'm like, ugh, or his running is horrifying. Like he's fine. He had 2 weeks to prep for this movie. Like Renny didn't even want him working out like heavy, so he just did a lot of push-ups and pumped his abs out a lot, so it looked good in 3D.
Push-ups a day.
And so like he's fine. Never once in this movie. The one problem that bothers me is when he's on a date with Gaia Weiss in the Love Pond. Like they go and hang out, right? But instead like when instead of kicking it with her, like he swims all the way across it, probably climbs a wall for about 20-30 minutes, and then dives off of it. And it's like, hey man, just enjoy your time with Gaia Weiss.
She's already like you're already together. What are you doing? I guess we find out later that maybe she can't swim very well because when he saves her in the river, so he's just trying to get her to go into the water, and she'll only do that if she thinks he's drowning from. I don't know. It seems like it's for the film. Lots of things in this are just for the film. Like when they're on the slave ship heading to the big gladiator tournament, you have the line from Lucius of "Still 2 days left at sea. He's been stood up at the bow this whole journey." Like, who is he saying that to? Who is he on the telephone to at that point, explaining what's going on? Everyone on that boat has been on that boat since Hercules was been stood at the bow. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, like the speed ramping in this movie and the slow motion. It's not like the Immortals, right? Which Kellan Lutz was in. He played Poseidon.
Yes,
you have 300.
Yeah,
300.
He played his own uncle.
300. You know, the reason the slow motion happened in that was because to recreate the frames of what Frank Miller's book.
Right. Sure.
So this one though, but there's no reason for the slow motion in this one, and that's why. But there's so much of it. There's a lot of Kellan Lutz in the air.
Yes, if anyone jumps, it becomes slow motion. That's
the problem is if you're battling somebody, Jay, and you and I are not Hercules. But if someone ever jumps in a straight line at you from 20 feet away, just move to the other side. Just
especially if they're moving slowly.
Yeah, exactly. If someone jumps in slow motion towards you in the air, it's like in Austin Powers when that thing rolls over that henchman and all he has to do is get out of the way, but he keeps screaming because that's what henchmen do. Just take a couple steps or move forward, like duck, and he'll just go right over you.
It's the Prometheus rolling donut ship, isn't it? It's everything.
But he spends so much time in the air. But you know what though? But then so you're watching the scene and you have Liam McIntyre, Kellan Lutz battling Humbaba, and Half-Face. But it's a long fight and there's a lot of intricate work to it. And they're like splitting around and there's the best scene in this movie is when they are at the gate and it's lightning and it's raining and you have that wide shot of all the guys going. Like I paused that. I'm like, that's a good shot. Like that looks good.
It's some great dramatic rain. Yeah, if you're not with us, you're against us. Rain, Rain just starts like, yes, come
But
on, Renny, bring it.
do you know how fast they had to shoot this movie?
2 months.
That's nothing with all the speed ramping and stunts. Like
Yeah,
it's, I mean, no one, and also too, like I know they there are some neat locations in this movie, but when you need to make a movie in 2 months featuring gladiator battles, you need to shoot on green screen because you're in inclement weather. You're like you just can't like you can't shoot a gladiator movie in 2 months on location. So it's gonna be wildly green screen heavy, and then the visual effects, Jay, won't be good because you have 3 days to finish them.
yeah. Your lion will look CGI.
Yeah,
Even though there was puppetry involved in that lion, it still looks fully CG.
fully CG. And did you see the sets they built? Which is kind of a bummer because they built some huge sets out there in
Yeah.
Bulgaria, and but then it just looks like green screen, all of it.
And like they shot it in 2 months, but the big scene at the end when Hercules gets his big electric whip sword, they decided to include that a week before they shot that. So it wasn't like they planned it all out. Okay, we got 2 months. They were still doing things on the fly during that 2 months. So like, hey,
It's
this is what's going to become the most famous shot of the film. Let's do that next week. Let's go. Like,
like let's have him swing concrete blocks. Let's
yeah,
have him
that's
sling
right.
lightning chains. But yeah, but that's you make a movie. So this script was kicking around since 2007. But then I think Rennie became a scriptwriter for it. So then they changed it all, and then it kept changing as they made the movie. But you know what I think hurt this movie the most is the fact that they're like, oh, a $70 million movie. Like this movie, this is not a $70 million movie, Jay. I don't.
So that's nothing for Rennie.
Yeah, exactly. But like,
That's
these
just another
movies,
film.
though, this studio they owned the Bulgarian studios that they shot in. There's no the only way that this movie cost 70 million is back end with visual effects when they just
Right.
made people work around the clock for months to get it done. Like that's a huge, and also the producers. I mean, like the producers for Millennium are huge. You have like Avi Arad, like you have some big name. Oh, Avi Lerner, like you have some big names in this thing. So I bet you they took money. The producers like on Olympus Has Fallen, they took a huge chunk of money. That's why Gerard Butler sued. So yeah, I bet you Rennie had 20 million to do it.
Yeah.
And then but the thing is they're shooting in their own studio, so they're not going for studio space. There's not that many extras. I just think if they were like, oh, the $30 million budgeted Hercules, you know what I mean? Or just, but when everyone heard that this was $70 million and then you watch it, you're like, what? This,
Why? Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But
It's
if
like
you can,
there's no massive names in the cast.
no,
Like Kellan Lutz stuff of Twilight. This was fairly early in Scott Adkins' career. You've got Rade Serbadia, he was Boris the Bullet Dodger from Snatch. Like I love when he crops up in stuff. He's like a guy. Oh, it's him, but he's not like I don't know how to pronounce his surname. He's not like a known. I had to look up how to pronounce his surname. There's not like any big actors, so that's not where the money went. It is just trying to
do
get
you,
it all done in 2 months.
yeah,
Paying
right.
people extra to work around the clock. So
Yeah. Like you know how that's exactly what happened. I guarantee you, Jay. I guarantee that the 14 stages that they built, the like they were working around the clock and then they were using a lot that's where the budget went. So I don't think Rennie like had like, oh yeah, I got $70 million in 2 years to plan. This was like he didn't see a lot of that 70 million because I think a lot of it was spent on overtime or an
I think
over
so.
hour
Yeah.
and so you sure it's $70 million, but I wish people would be like, oh, Rennie had this much money to make it. So then what's rated on that? Not that it's a $70 million film. And also like
Yeah.
Scott Adkins when he goes, lay down your weapons, prepare to die. Like he has some lines in this movie. As a matter of fact, I have a surprise for you. Like he's just watching him with like his beard and like there's a scene where his son does something kind of stupid and he's like, that's cool. Like it's just watching Scotty A in a huge movie and just screaming a lot and doing like axe fighting and knocking Hercules all over is just a delight for me. So yeah,
So Scott Adkins is clearly an actor that you are more familiar with than I am. What are some prime Scott Adkins roles that we should know
Cool.
him from?
All
So I
right.
know
So,
he was in John Wick 4 this year, which I still haven't seen. But
like, are we talking about like a primer or like where should? Okay. So Scott
what's
Adkins.
your top 5 underrated Scott Adkins films, or just
Jay,
5 that you think people should know about?
this is horrifying. 5 movies. 5.
Or just
Okay.
some.
Well,
What are some that, like,
his best
if no one
performance.
knows who this guy is before, if people are watching this first, like, oh, I like that guy. What should I see him from?
His best performance is in a movie called Avengement,
Okay.
which is a very, very good movie. Then I would say so. All right, so he has the ninja movies. He has like one of them with Keith David. So whenever he's in a movie with a larger than $20 million budget, he dies. So American Assassin,
Strange.
Doctor Strange, he dies. Like X-Men, he was Deadpool, he dies. Like he
Spoiler for John
dies.
Wick 4, I guess.
Yeah, it's John. Yeah, anytime he's in an expensive movie, but then he'll pop up in like Hard Target. Okay, here we go. And like Expendables 2, he dies, and like that sucks. But if you're gonna watch 5. This is like I'm melting.
I'm sorry. I should have prepared you for this.
Okay, if you're gonna do 5, Universal Soldier: Day of Reckoning, which is a direct-to-DVD action film that's very good, but it's very brutal and very violent, but it's exceptional. Then you got to go Avengement, and then I would say Undisputed 2, Last Man Standing, because that's when Boyka is introduced, Yuri Boyka, and he goes on to make several more Undisputed films. So you have those 3. Oh man. Okay. All right, so you have those 3. I really like Ninja Shadow. Oh man. Okay, and then I would recommend Triple Threat because that one has Iko Uwais, Tony Jaa, Michael Jai White, Scott Adkins, Tiger Chen. Like that's a huge cast. It also features the worst wig I've ever seen in my life in a movie. So we have those 4. He's in Ip Man 4 where he fights Donnie Yen. I watched all his movies: Debt Collectors, Dead Reckoning, Castle Falls. He's great in Day Shift. He has a kitchen fight. Oh,
I've seen that.
and then 5th is Accident Man.
He
wrote it.
Come up.
Yeah, he wrote it. Also, he has Accident Man, Hitman's Holiday. Like those are movies where he stars. Yeah, and Accident Man's fun. Ray Stevenson's in it. My man Ray Stevenson. He fights Ray Park and Michael Jai White. Ashley Greene is in it from Twilight, so he's been with like a lot of Twilight actors. So yeah, that's my 5 in this.
I'm sorry for doing that to you, but thank you. I will make it. I haven't seen any of those films apart from Day Shift, I'll keep an eye out for them all.
I'm becoming like my father-in-law. I put a Scott Adkins movie and we just sit there watching it. Like it's like if you want to stop me from doing a job, I'll just walk into a room and like, oh, it's Scott Adkins movie, and then I just stand there. I'm like, oh, hey, that was good. Oh, also the Intergalactic Adventures of Max Cloud. He's a lot of fun. That's horrible. But yeah, listen, he's one of my favorite actors, and there's a big article recently about him. They're like, is he the last action hero remaining? Like he's a guy that just loves action movies, and he's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and more people are fans of his. And if you listen to our Deep Blue Sea episode we talk about Scott Adkins a lot, and the one with Fred Topple.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. The alternate ending, the original episode. So that's Deep Blue Sea number 34, I think.
So like we had a big Adkins talk on this one.
Yes, that was an episode that I'm basically silent for that episode. It's just like a scene neither of us had seen because it's Fred had seen, and you talk about all the Renny films I hadn't seen at that point, and all the Scott Adkins films I'd never even heard of. I was like, I'm just gonna hang around and edit this later.
But yeah, the guy's just been. He's been working for 20 years in the industry, and I think now he's really starting to get a lot of. He's starting to get noticed more, which is awesome.
The main bad guy in John Wick 4. That's a huge role.
Yeah, and a big fight scene and like a homage to Sammo Hung. Like it's awesome. And this movie shot in 2 months, Jay, and it had like 3 months of prep. Like this isn't. You can't do many takes on this. Like
and the takes they got are all good.
Yeah, that's why you hire Scott Adkins.
I thought this film was not going to be good. I had heard very bad things about this. Well, just because it's got like whenever you hear people talk about the two Hercules films, they talk about the one with the rock's okay, and then there's that other one. But so I don't know if I just had low expectations, but I really enjoyed this. My wife really enjoyed this. She doesn't enjoy anything. She doesn't like any films. But she just watched this and said, "Hey," a direct quote from her is, "That wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be." So I
I mean,
thought this was pretty great.
like, you know what's cool too? Like Liam McIntyre, he's not a huge guy, but he's kicking butt. Kellan
Yeah,
Lutz is not a giant. Like he's, I mean, for a normal human being, he's huge, but he
yeah.
wasn't like. And the whole thing's just like him getting back to the woman he loves, Gaia
Yeah.
Weiss. Like he doesn't. Like, he's not. He's just a dude who like likes a lady, and then he gets kicked out, and he comes back. Like there's really
It
no
just happens to be a demigod. Don't
yeah.
worry about it.
There's really not much fat in this movie.
No. There's a lot of you cut back to his brother Iphicles, who is just the most
A
sniveling
wiener.
little worm of a character. And he does that so like when Hercules kills the lion and skins it, Iphicles claims the belt, claims the kill, says that Hercules ran away like a coward, something everyone at court must then assume, oh, this guy's lying. Like
His dad knows he's lying.
everyone. Because the story he should do is, the lion, he knocked Hercules out. He didn't run away, he just knocked him out, and then I stepped in and saved him. That's like a more believable, but still not like, what did you do? You strangled a lion? You come on, you snap. But I just every scene this guy was in, I loved it. So it's just such a terrible, a horrible bad guy. So like when they think Hercules has died, he goes and talks to his mum, and he's like, "Yeah, okay, be sad for Hercules, but be happy. I'm getting married. Yes,
Yeah.
your son just died, but I'm getting married to someone who doesn't want to marry me." Dude, come on, give her like a little time to grieve.
He's the
Ah,
classic first child, and his brother
yeah.
is like, a demigod who, whatever. But it's
Like,
yeah, he's his sniveling. So I was watching him at one moment in this movie, and I'm like, I wish I could play this role
yeah,
because I would just act like like a
a petulant
a
child.
craphead. Yeah, crap, like just an absolute turd for 2 months, and I would
Ah,
chill in like an awesome soundstage in Bulgaria, Sofia. Like that's a cool place to visit. So
yeah.
I would hang out in Bulgaria, show up on set, and be like, "Oh, this Hercules is just so bad. Like I hate him." And then cut. All right, yeah, I'm gonna go to the bar. Like it's a perfect role.
It is. It's not.
It,
It's not nuanced at all, but it does not need to be.
and just watching Scott Adkins fight in slow motion, like
Yeah.
as opposed to hating this movie, appreciate that you have Scott Adkins fighting somebody in a Renny Harlin movie, just delivering pain.
The
It's
fight scenes are all great. Like when they're ambushed in the past in Egypt, like Kellan Lutz gets shot twice in their shoulder, and then he rips the two arrows out and stabs a guy in the neck with them.
yeah,
That's badass. And then he's grappling with a guy who's got a bow on his back, so then he uses that guy's bow to shoot somebody else whilst he's still grappling the first guy.
it was awesome. And he takes a sword in a guy's gut, lifts him in the air and throws him right, and then takes a spear from
Yeah.
the guy
Well,
and
he
then throws
catches
the
it.
spear.
Yeah. But there's so many catching of weapons or throwing of weapons in midair. Like somebody leaps and someone throws a shield at them. The guy leaping did not know it was coming, but he still catches it and lands on a guy. Or the same with a sword or a spear. It's so much is thrown and then used before landing.
Yeah.
It's great.
It is great. And then Jonathon Schaech pops up with cornrows, and you're like, what?
What are you doing?
Like
Put
this
that
is
wolf helmet back on, please.
so that Hercules movie that came out, in the words of Norbert Morvan, is totally cromulent. It's fine. I've
Sure.
tried. I don't think I've ever finished it. I think I've tried
Tried
to
to
watch it
start
twice
it.
and I've fallen asleep. But you have
I'm
Ian
like
McShane,
I'm tempted because Ian McShane.
and
He's gonna
there's
be,
a
oh,
very
hey,
funny moment with Ian McShane. Rufus Sewell's in it. Rebecca Ferguson. There's another like a couple really cool characters.
John Hurt's in there, I think.
But it's just like a PG-13 Brett Ratner action picture.
Sure.
While you're watching it, you're like, that's fine. But during this, when Sheck, you know, takes off his helmet and he has cornrows, when
No one saw that
Scott,
coming.
there's this act when Scott Adkins goes Scott Adkins. Like there's moments in this movie that make you feel something, whether it's good or bad. Like Hercules, you just watch, but the Legend of Hercules is fun, at least for me.
I mean, I'm going to guess that the other Hercules does not have the scene where the queen gets impregnated by a ghost.
No,
Like
n-
that's a
none of that.
surprising scene.
Yeah, when she popped up in the air because she prays like, "Oh yeah, give me a kid. Like the kid will be known as Hercules, but you can call him whatever you want." And then Zeus is like, "All right," and then he's born,
Okay,
and
who should have played Zeus? Who should have cameoed
Dolph
as Zeus?
Lundgren.
I was thinking Sam Jackson. Just have a Deep Blue Sea
Yes.
cast member in it. It's gonna be like Michael Rappaport.
Hey. Oh, that'd be amazing.
Sam Jackson come in, delivers a very similar speech to Deep Blue Sea, and then he gets killed by a shark. I don't know.
That would be amazing. But I think this movie, the main problem with this movie is it feels like 7,000 other films.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes it an easy target. But if you can just enjoy it like I do, like I'm clearly aware that it's just I don't it's kind of odd. I don't think you see anything new. I think there's cool things in this movie. I don't think like other Rennie movies that there's something that you can latch onto and be like, I have never seen that before in my life. But it was filmed in 2 months. I don't care. Like the fact that they cynically rushed this to get ahead of Hercules because of their success of their Jerry Butler movie, it's I don't know. But during the research, it makes me almost more proud for Rennie because you don't have time to rewrite a script. You know what? The script, you had to build sets, and you can't just be like, oh, we got a new location, because then you got to build a new set. Like they didn't have time. So it's just he had to take a script he had, and I think he took the script that was there. They cut it down, got it ready for 2 months of shooting, and he did it. And the end result is fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Like with that kind of a budget, they were never going to make it all back. But this made $60 million, which, you know, if you work out how much money was actually spent on this, it tripled it.
Yeah.
So it actually did well.
And
It
it's
shouldn't
kind
be
of
considered a
annoying.
flop.
A lot of people are like, bomb report Hercules, but they only use the US box office. I'm like, guys, this movie made 60 million worldwide. Like, and also the pre-sales that they had probably for distribution and cable. I don't think it put anybody out of business.
No, that's it. This made 60 million, and it stars Kellan Lutz.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
No one knows who he is.
90 minutes in and out. And I'm sorry, man. I've been on film sets that are just you take one page for an entire day. Like Rennie couldn't do that.
No, he's never done that.
They had to do like 2 pages a day, basically. Let's say 90-page
At
script,
least.
right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, wait. They filmed in 2 months, so it's like yeah.
That's
I mean,
60, so like 1.5. So
yeah,
1 to
1.5
2 pages a day. Yeah.
with all the special effects and like lifting people in the air and like
Yeah.
planning for 3D. Like he puts a lot of dust in the air in this movie. Like
There's a lot of stuff in the air. There's rain. It's the 3D, isn't it? It's the rain, the dust. There's like pollen. It's just a lot of
confetti
stuff,
at one moment. You think
Yeah.
it's just, but like Rennie's like, listen,
chains, constant chains and blocks.
Everyone I read all the reviews for 3D, like the Blu-ray 3D review, and everyone's like, listen, it's fine. Rennie did a good job. It actually has good depth of field. It's never too dark. Like a lot of 3D movies get sludgy. They said it never gets way too sludgy because Rennie understands how to light things. So it's 2 months. Like it's 2 months. Like I'm sorry. Like I think is this his strongest effort? No. But is it fun? Yes.
But yeah, within the constraints he was given, this is a success as far as I'm concerned. I liked this. And
I know I keep saying the same thing over and over, but it just
3 months.
I don't know. Yeah.
Like a couple of things we haven't got to. The baby they have for Hercules at the start looks like Kellan Lutz. That's a good baby casting. He looks like a baby Kellan Lutz. So well done to everyone involved in that.
Oh man. Oh wait, doesn't she say he's a big strong boy?
Quite large boy, sire.
A fine large boy.
Quite large boy.
He
will never be his brother's equal.
But he will never be an equal to my son.
Which is very true. He is far superior in every way. I do like whenever Hercules tries to fight Hercules. So what are you doing? This guy looks like you wearing a padded suit. He catches your fist and barely notices.
I love when he does that. And like when they were talking about, like, you know how Hercules, the myth, like there was trickery involved. Like it was like I don't know, it wasn't what he came down to Earth as a man and then like kind of had sex with a woman without knowing. Then they had that. Like this one,
I think. Well, I mean, Zeus had sex with a lot of women. He would like. I think the Hercules one he came down as a bull
yeah,
and then turned into a man, and he's kind of like a snake and a swan and various things. So this one kind of muddies the legend a little bit as to the origins. But I think there are a few different origin stories of like, it didn't really happen. It's all myth and legend. So there's no like this isn't how it really happened. Like, okay, sure, we know. This is one of the many legends they can tell.
and it's free to do. Like it's public domain.
Very much so. There is little that's more public domain than Hercules.
This happens when you're 1200 BC. But it
Dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are the only thing that's more public domain.
the Croods. But there's
the Big Bang.
This one though, they're like, hey, lady, do you want to do you want to bring peace to the land by having the son of Zeus? And then she's like, yeah, for the sake of peace, I would have Hercules. So they're kind of asking her like, hey, are you cool with this? And she's like, yeah, I'm cool with this. And then it happens. So I
wonder if she knew when she was agreeing to that. Like, yeah, so Zeus is going to come down and actually have sex with you. You won't know when he's coming, but he will come down and it will happen. Whether she'd be so ready to do that, or maybe that would sway her more. I don't know. It could be any moment. It could be in church. It's just going to happen sometime. Like middle of the aisle at the supermarket, and he's just going to appear behind you and get it on. He's good at it. It's going to be. You're going to like it. It could be any time. Like,
who is this Sunday person explaining this to her? Like what? Like who? I'm trying to think of the character that would explain. Like, it's good at it. Like it's odd.
It's worth. It's not a problem. This is
like sounds like Billy Crystal or like Martin Short or Steve Martin, like just doing that.
It's Albert Brooks.
Oh, yes, Albert Brooks. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's like who knows? But then when she pops up, you're like, oh man, this is crazy. And then Scott Adkins just slices the lady. He's like, where is he? Like, I mean, he's a tyrannical king, but like, it's an odd little movie, and I don't think this movie had any time for anything else. Like it's the fact that it gets this story done in under 90 minutes works. Like it's fine. Like I don't think Kellan Lutz ever says anything more than maybe 14 words at a time,
other than his speech at the end.
Yeah.
But like, he's brooding. He's cast more for his physical presence, I would say, which is very impressive. He was nominated for a Razzie for best couple of Kellan Lutz and either his pecs, abs, or biceps, I think. Which the Razzies are trash.
Yeah, they're trash. They nominated a 14-year-old girl for like acting.
This film had 6 nominations, which it should not have had.
This, I just, they just, I think Millennium.
I shouldn't have brought it up.
Millennium set themselves up for failure, though. Like, hey, let's beat this movie. So you already have the cynicism to it. I think everyone was hip to what they were doing, and then you're going $70 million, and then you watch it and you're like, what? So but you know what? Though? I would rather watch something like this, a very cynical money grab, than Brett Ratner's Hercules, which is fine. Like, I don't want to watch a fine movie. I don't want to watch a perfectly cromulent movie. I want to watch Jonathon Schaech with cornrows and Liam McIntyre facing a guy named Wana Baba and rain fights and 90 minutes. That's it. Also, I want to say Gaia Weiss, she's in a really cool movie called Meander, where she's trapped in this sort of alien death place where she has to survive and like crawl through all these various things. It's actually a really good movie. So Meander. Never heard of it. She's cool. No. She's good in it. It's a good movie.
I'm just looking.
But yeah, she doesn't get much to do here.
So Kellan Lutz, he lost out the Teen Choice Awards for Choice Movie Actor Action that year. Who did he lose out to? Why can't I find Uh, he lost out to the worthy winner of Theo James from Divergent.
Oh
That's who
no.
won that category. But he did win the 2014 Young Hollywood Awards for Superhero, beating out Stephen Amell for Arrow, Chris Pratt for Guardians of the Galaxy, Chris Evans for Winter Soldier, Andrew Garfield for Amazing Spider-Man 2, and Nicholas Hoult for X-Men: Days of Future Past. He beat them all. He won that award.
That's
So
amazing.
that's amazing.
So I like this in my notes. I have Jonathon Schaech, LOL.
Yep.
And then he puts his 4 best fighters against each other with 4 question marks.
Yeah.
I
I wanted more from the when Hercules has to face off against the 6 undefeated gladiators. This seems like a terrible system.
yeah.
It's like, so if you beat them, you get your freedom, and now we don't anymore have these 6 undefeated. Because even if they survive, they've now been defeated. So
The only lady the person that lives is the lady.
yes, because he can't kill a lady. He can trap her in a net, but this is a film. A man can't beat a lady. It was ridiculous. So that angered
Very
me.
patronizing.
Kill her. And then when he got to the end credits, all of the men in the film were credited before the women, which my wife was not happy about. And she asked me to point out, and I have done that. So good. But yeah,
So wait. Oh, it's like Gaia Weiss and everyone. She wasn't.
They're all after like Liam Gallagher and Liam McIntyre. It's like Gaia Weiss and Roxanne McKee, the Queen, are all below the other men. But then when you get the later credits, they're not. It varies. But yeah, I wanted more from these 6 undefeated people that he just kind of deals with quite handily. Like one guy lasts a few seconds and he's dead. Like this is like the 6 undefeated. You can win your freedom from slavery. It's like, yeah, okay, that was pretty easy, I guess. I mean, yeah, this is Hercules. He's going to go on to face a Hydra and numerous other things from lore and like the only kind of trial he faces in this one is the lion. Do you think there's supposed to be a sequel? Do you think they're trying to set up like a future Hercules film of?
Well, the title was
trials?
originally "The Legend Begins," and then they
Sure.
changed it.
Okay, this was
So it's gonna be like Batman Begins, but the Legend begins.
This feels it's like a Remo Williams kind of thing. The adventure
Yeah.
begins and the adventure never continues.
And-
Sorry, Fred Ward, it didn't work.
Do you know what's crazy? Half Face, Wanababa, Liam, and
Humbaba.
and
Humbaba.
Kellan Lutz would have steamrolled these 6 fighters. Like
Right.
this wouldn't. It would have been over in. I bet you the guy who owned them, the 2 before they died, went, oh, whoops, like because those 4 would have steamrolled those 6. Like it wouldn't even been a fight.
No, it just they were quite disappointing, and it's not even known their names. I'm guessing that they're all like stunt people, perhaps. But I wanted some more from them. Like and here is the 6. There is this guy. He's a swordsman, and like a little sword thing. Here is this guy. He has a pike, and just like to have some kind of a display and a sense of ceremony, not just they're here and now they're dead. She's in a net. Haha. I wanted more from that. They picked that up quite a lot.
He just trapped her in a net.
Like, another 2 weeks of filming, they could have done something more, I guess. Well, it's raining another day. They could have done some more.
They had no time though. Like
No
this movie had no time. So listen, is that how you should make a movie? No. But I mean, for what he had, once again, I'm gonna say this 100 times, for what he had, I think they did a good job.
And there's a Renny cameo in here as well. I like the little cameo from him when he's like a soldier stood behind Iphicles at one point. He has a few lines. So like this is a film set in ancient Greece. They just have this like one Finnish guy. Finnish accent. Like no one in the cast is Greek. Everyone else is kind of British or American, and then one Finnish accent.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He's in there. It's not a big part, but as soon as he appeared on screen, I was like, Freddy, there he is. There's our boy.
Our Hitchcock moment. And you're gonna like to hear this. The stunt coordinator on this, Dean Histroff, he was Dolph Lundgren's stunt double for a long time. Also, he was on the stunt team for Shark in Venice, which I want you to know. But yeah, like he worked as like on a lot of JCVD movies. He actually worked on a lot of Millennium movies, like the Black Dahlia, like pretty much all the movies they shot there. He worked on. He was in Undisputed 2. Like this guy worked on a lot. But check out what he's doing now. So he He did 300 Rise of an Empire. He did Expendables 3 while working as Dolph Lundgren's stunt double. He was the action and stunt choreographer on Skin Trade, which has some really good fights. He did London is Fallen stunt coordinator. He did John Wick Chapter 2. He did stunts on that. But like Hitman's Bodyguard stunt coordinator, Hunter Killer stunt coordinator, Rambo Last Blood stunt coordinator, The Protege stunt coordinator, which has fun action. Dungeons and Dragons he was a stunt coordinator on.
Oh, wow.
And recently in Kandahar and Cobweb he was the stunt coordinator. So the dude's legit. They had a really great stunt team on this, and huge like a lot of European stunt performers in this movie. I think it's 2 months, and they gave him no time to get ready. Jay, this is like Kellan Lutz at 2 weeks, and that interview I read, it was March, and then they went and started shooting a couple months later, and then had a trail. Like this, it blows my mind how fast they got this out.
This is the Exorcist, the beginning all over again. It was just Renny, make a film. Okay, great.
That's why you hire him, though, Jay. I really think so. Like, I guarantee you, everybody went, we need a guy who like has been there, done that, and can just do it. Like, he'll come here and he'll get it done. Renny Harlin, like, you just bring him in. It's like Ron Howard.
Yeah. So, talking of Millennium Films, you wanted to do a Millennium Film draft?
Yeah, let's do it. All
okay.
Right. So
I've counted up. I've seen 11 films from Millennium Pictures.
So I want you to know that it came out of like the Cannon Group. So like the Cannon Group, they expanded into Africa and then like South Africa, but then they ended up kind of, according to Wikipedia, after pressure from anti-apartheid forces, Cannon closed its African operations, but then they opened New Image, which started shooting. And then in 1992, they figured out that they could do directed like DVD movies. So they did like Shark Attack. They did what is it? Toby Hooper's Crocodile. They had like, instead of Cliffhanger, they had Free Fall.
I've just found Free Fall, and I'm thinking, oh, does Renny know that this studio ripped him off? Like, I hope he does.
Like Octopus, Raging Sharks. But then like they in the 80s, they just have these cheeky movies, and then in the 2000s though they had like Alien Hunter. But then in 2006 they kind of made a change where they started doing like the Chum Scrubber, and then they moved on to Black Dahlia, Wicker Man. So they started trying to make bigger films like Cleaner. But I think they've been doing pretty good. Like they did Rambo in 2008, which was a huge hit for them. They did Righteous Kill, of course. But it's like I think they've been like, they put out some pretty cool action films. They did London Has Fallen. They did Criminal, where Scott Adkins is in as well. Mechanic movies did well. But then recently they did like Expendables, which lost a ton of money. The Protege, which I love. But like all these movies kind of look the same. If you've watched Jolt with Kate Beckinsale, or Hitman's Wife Bodyguard, or The Hitman's Wife, they all definitely look the same. They did Hellboy, the 2019 Hellboy.
Yeah.
Ooh, and they did Leatherface. Yikes. But I love their smaller stuff, though, like Boyka Undisputed. But yeah, let's do a draft. I'll let you pick first.
Okay, well, I say I've seen 11 of these films. There is one I have to start with, which is, of course, Shark in Venice. There is no other film I can begin with than Shark in Venice.
I think I always, whenever I'm on the Out Now with Aaron and Abe podcast, or I do a commentary, I just talk about The Protege all the time. So I'm just going to do The Protege. Maggie Q.
Okay. I think I'll take a Nick Cage film. I'll take Drive Angry.
Oh,
which is a fun one. William Fichtner having fun as the devil's
grimy
accountant
movie
or something. Yeah,
isn't that?
Yeah, it's like a basically a grindhouse film, isn't it?
Yeah, they own studio space in New Orleans. That's why they shot there a lot. Millennium. But Jay, so I'm gonna do Command Performance with Dolph Lundgren. So you know what Command Performance is?
No.
It's Dolph Lundgren, and he's in a band called BMF, Bad Mother Effers, and he's the drummer. And he's basically the best drummer in the world, and he's a shirtless guy, and he ends up hooking up with a pop star that's like a third his age. And then Russians come in and take over, and it's Die Hard, but in a concert venue with a drummer killing people, and he's just stoned the whole time.
It sounds great. I wish it was Deep-Sea adjacent in some way.
You should have seen Jay's face when I was explaining it. He's like,
you kept going. It's like this. Wait, so it sounds like a kind of a musical rom-com kind of thing, but then it turns into a Die Hard film. This is Dangerous Waters all over again.
And listen, I cut you off a little bit, but that movie Drive Angry is kind of nasty. Like
Yeah.
it's a grimer. Like he has a naked lady wrapped around him during an entire gunfight.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't, when I say I've seen 11 films, I haven't seen 11 good films. Like, Shark in Venice is the one that I love. And that's the end of the list of films that I love. But I'm just picking films I've seen that have something to talk about. So, my third pick, the only one of these that I saw. No, no, I'll take 16 Blocks for next
Oh
pick.
yeah, good
That's a
one.
fun
Most
one.
Def,
That's a good one. Yeah. Most Def talking through his nose.
very nasally.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like yeah. I'm gonna take
What kind of film?
Undisputed.
Okay. Yeah.
Walter Hill,
Ah. Okay.
Wesley Snipes, Ving Rhames, boxing. We did a Final Fight episode of it. It's good.
Okay. I'll check it out. Yeah. The only one of these films that I saw in cinema is not a good film. I'll take it anyway. Righteous Kill. I'm gonna take. It's a very. It's not Heat. Uh, it was billed as being it's De Niro and Pacino back together again. The first time it says Heat. And I was like, yeah, but it's not. It's not Heat. Like, Heat and Godfather Part Two and Righteous Kill. It's not a one of these things. Is not like the others.
That movie is not good. No. All right. I'm gonna take. I hope you don't think I'm cheating, but I'm gonna take Expendables 2. Our guy Simon West and
Go
jet
for
ski action
Of
scenes,
course,
and Scotty Atz.
I'd be shocked if you hadn't taken it. So I'm my last one. I'll take Olympus Has Fallen.
Ooh.
It makes sense. It's a high profile one. It spawned two sequels. I've always preferred White House Down with no sequels. I think it's more fun. But Olympus Has Fallen is still pretty good. The Mike Banning franchise starter. I don't know how I still remember his name, given I haven't seen the other two films, and I've only seen this one once. But the name Gerard Butler plays Mike Banning is in my head forever. So
I remember watching that movie and being like, "This is violent." All right, so I've already talked about Boyka movies and Undisputed movies. So I'm going to take a movie that really went under the radar and it's actually very good, and it's called The Outpost. If you haven't seen it, it's a very good movie. It's not like a good for a millennium movie. It's a very good movie. Like I remember watching it and be like, I really like Caleb Landry Jones is in it, and
okay.
I was like, he could get an Oscar nomination for this. I'm dead serious.
Okay, sure.
So
I don't think I've
yeah.
even heard of it, so I'll check that one out. But I mean, just looking through this list, there's a lot of films that we will cover on this show one day. There's like all the Shark Attack films and Crocodile. Like Toby Hooper's Crocodile was on there. There's like a few films called Octopus and Sharkman, and so there's a lot of stuff we will eventually get to. We just haven't got to yet.
Listen, I
We'll
would
see
love
if
to talk about Crocodile.
we will one day. Not today. Yeah.
Oh,
Did you
man.
have any more notes on Legend of Hercules or Millennium Media?
No, it's fun, and you shot it in 2 months. And
Yeah.
and listen, I do think this movie, this. So listen, I know some people say that they call this derivative, and it doesn't feature anything new from Renny Harlin, which I would agree with, because it doesn't. But he had 2 months to make this stupid thing, and it was only to make money and get ahead of Hercules. So he was hired to come in, make a movie. He had no time to make Flair. He had no time to go to the Italian Alps. He had no time to get a shark built. Like, he just had to shoot this thing. And I think for the time they had, for the 2 months that they had to 2 months, Jay, 2 months. All right, here, let me check something. When did Hercules film? Hercules 2014. Like, sorry, I know we're going long, but I just Hercules. So it's 6% on IMDb, which makes sense. But how long did it take to film Hercules? Let's see. Technical specs. I can't find it. But yeah, I bet you took 3 months to shoot that. 3-4 months to shoot Hercules.
Right.
Like double the time. And it has less personality. So yeah, I mean, shoot. Give me Legend of Hercules. Hercules. No one claps and says Hercules in this movie, which is a bit of a bummer.
I like Dwayne Johnson trained for 8 months for that film. Kellan Lutz 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
That's why I don't like the comparisons. Like that's why I don't know. Like just I like I have fun with this movie. I don't care. It's funny.
So, the only other what I wanted when he's rowing in the slave ship, I wanted them to like pan out and show that the boat was now going in circles because Hercules was rowing.
We're not going anywhere.
So, hey, you slow down, or just you one side and everybody else the other side. That would be fair. But let's see how is this film similar to Deep Blue Sea. Directed by Renny Harlin. Starts underwater. There's the opening scene has an arrow being shot from a boat. Boats are on fire. There's prayer. There's a high dive into water. Sort of a waterfall, but yeah. That drags someone who is struggling in water to safety. Hercules is flippant to a bird. He just calls it bird. There's a very strong, superpowered prisoner. It's not a shark, it's a person, but still counts. A symbolic necklace, a Renny Harlin cameo. Storm arrives at an appropriate moment. And the ending has two people being impaled by one thing, or two creatures being impaled by one thing. With what's her name? The princess stabbing herself and Iphicles at the same time. And there's an underground Fight Club prison, which Renny had in his first film in Born American. He had one of them in there too. So he likes underground. He loves prison films and necklaces and religion. They're in all of his films. But how deep and how blue is Legend of Hercules? So, Mark, as you know, Deep Blue Sea is 14.5 meters deep, about 31% blue. Do you think Legend of Hercules is deeper and or bluer than Deep Blue Sea? Why did I even finish that sentence? Why am I even bothering?
No, yeah, this is our least blue movie. I don't think there's any blue in this movie.
I mean, it's not. So depth wise, the only bits that are below surface level are the opening few seconds, and then when they're in like the mud prison, I kind of thought that would be best if it was underground. So I counted that scene as being like a little bit deep, but the rest of it, so it works out being 1.1 meters up in the air, so about 3-4 feet up in the air, which is our 58th ranked film in terms of that one. It's higher up than Dangerous. It's just above Dangerous Waters. We just covered that, and just below Tremors. Blueness is actually I got 10.78% blue.
Wow.
Because
the pond.
There's a lot of water, a lot of sky. There's a lot of scenes on boats, like and in the river and in the waterfall, and also some of the night shots are kind of have a blue tinge to a lot of them. And
day for night.
There's like cloaks that are blue and things. So 10.78 blue. So this is bluer than Muppet Treasure Island, less blue than The Adventures of Lord Fairlane, but also 58th ranking, 58th in both depth and blueness.
Wow.
It happened recently for Driven as well, and it's happened again for Legend of Hercules.
Hey, Harlin gets it. He's consistent.
I mean, Driven is no longer matched up because other films have moved it around a little bit, so it's just coincidence. But Renny knew what he was doing, I guess. I don't know. But that'll do it. That's how deep and blue this film is. So I think that'll do it for our coverage of The Legend of Hercules. Mark, have you got anything to plug?
Yeah, no, it's movie, films, and flicks. Yeah, listen to that. And
you should check out your basketball piece over at The Ringer.
Oh yeah, I wrote about which year has the best horror movie starting 5 for The Ringer. The Ringer, which still feels weird. Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun article. They let me write about some weird stuff. I went full mark for that one. I went full mark. I said that I combined like Bill Russell with Aliens and The Fly because they're just both sweaty and juicy. Like it's an odd piece.
I've never seen a game of basketball, but I still enjoyed reading it. So if you're out there thinking sport, still read it. It's worth your time.
I think you know what? No one. Oh well, no. Only about 5 people told me I was wrong.
I mean, you're not going to please everyone. It's an opinion. So
you know what's nice? There's no chance to please everybody, and I had 0% chance for someone to completely agree with me. Yeah. Like some guy was like, "If you would have had Lost Boys, it would have been better." And it's like, oh, thanks, bro. But yeah, it's kind of liberating when you know that no one's going to agree with you.
Yeah, you're sparking conversation and
debate.
Right. So yeah. And listeners, you can follow this podcast on all social media at Deep Blue Sea Pod, or email us deepblueseapod@gmail.com. Next week should hopefully be the Little Mermaid remake. We did the original Little Mermaid last week, and hopefully be the 2023 remake next week. And then the week after that, we'll be continuing our Happy Harlan days with what I think is the last remaining Renny Harlin holiday film, Bodies at Rest.
Wow.
I haven't watched it yet, but I think that's his third Christmas film. We'll see when we watch it. Neither of us have seen it yet. But that'll be our Christmas episode for the year. But as for Legend of Hercules, I have been Jake Lewitt.
And I'm Mark Hoffmeyer.
And we'll Deep Blue see you next week.